the thought I played my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. Wrapping love in everything. Bringing change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to episode 332 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful grace. In the Pimpcast, where we find our place.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here, y'all.
One fly at a time.
All right, this episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Living Soil Foundation. Yeah, you know, it's the foundation we started. And folks, we are going to have some fantastic news for you coming up real soon. Just waiting on the engineers. They got the results back, and the preliminary results, at least in the area. Well, I'm not going to jump the gun because he hasn't completed the final analysis so far, but it's looking like there is non-detect of all the same junk we found in the first time out. It looks like the scalar testing.
Dad, you just said you were going to jump.
I'm not going to tell all of it right now, but so far it looks like there is non-detectable of anything that seems to be deleterious to your health. So that's good news. And folks, I'm just waiting on the results of that, and we are going to let you know what's up. So, hey, everybody out there in the chat, if you would hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live. But hey, want to thank you all so much for coming in. So just a little shout out right now. We got Amy B. We got Hey Alabama, Plywood, Colleen, Kevin, America, 2021, America. Yeah. All of y'all out there, thank you so much, Coach Will, and a bunch of others out there. Like I said, if you would hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live so they know to start, suppressing whatever it is they do. Look, they're trying, y'all, and we're going to give them a reason here before too long. Well, anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. Farm news. Well, as you can see, I'm not alone in the studio. So, William, what time is it?
In town. We came up to visit, did a consultation the other day. Yeah, we're in town. I'd much rather doing the podcast in person than like remotely. Like there isn't that lag where I'm like waiting for somebody else to respond, and then it's much easier in person.
Yeah, and we're not stepping on one another, so that helps. So we're going to jump right into the farm news right off the bat. Wow, peaches, good night, man. They're coming. They're like falling off the trees, y'all. This is one of the downsides, and we've talked about it a number of times. That one of your biggest problems is going to be what?
Putting away that harvest before it goes bad. That's the hardest part of gardening, of orcharding, of anything other than meat processing, because you're doing all that at once, and that is the job. But yeah, stuff that has like a harvest over a period of time. The hardest part about that system is putting it all away before it goes bad. Yeah,
so that's why we keep telling you folks, hey, don't go too big. I mean, it is going to drive you absolutely nuts when that harvest comes in and you're like, okay, now shoot, what do I do with the next batch? I'm canning these. Like with the peaches, it helps that I can literally put a 5-gallon bucket of peaches in the freeze dryer and get that done, which is cool because now I'm making snacks for my grandbaby and she absolutely loves them.
Yeah.
So, there's one way of going about it. And then, of course, Michelle's going to make, peach filling for pies. And obviously, I'm eating them as quick as I can pick them. But now they're almost squishy when you get them off the tree. So you have got to work quick when you get that stuff. So, yeah, love those peaches. No bug problems, none of that stuff. So you got to love that. But a good problem to have. So, folks, just remember, don't start too big. You're going to be glad you took your time. All right, here's another little thing. And man, it was like the Lord was pointing me in the right direction in so many different ways. My buddy EJ spoke to him on the phone the other day regarding a couple of things. And let me back up a little bit. Mike Adams did a show on, man, I'm gonna say it phonetically because I'm not sure if the YouTube algorithms are gonna cut me for saying this, but it's Delta Mike. Let me see. Delta Mike. I can't believe
Sierra
Oscar. That's what it is. I can't even believe I forgot that. But anyway, yeah, that's something people use. Okay. And you can use it for Mike Adams just went through an entire like day after day after day of all the benefits that he used. I had heard about it before. I'd used it, for this and that. I mean, we've already had some. And then all of a sudden, man, we had a couple of these sheep in a bad way. I am here to tell y'all. And then EJ calls me up and he tells me he had a cow step on his foot and he used that same product, the Delta Mike
Sierra
Oscar. I messed it up the first time. Might as well do it the second time. So we used that on these sheep. I mean, folks, I'm not even going to kid you. We had a leg on one of these lambs that was so infested with so many worms.
Yeah.
So many maggots, it would blow your mind. And I thought for sure, okay, do I need to take the gun down tomorrow morning?
Well, yeah, when we were cleaning it out, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, we're either going to put this thing down today, or I was waiting for Dad to honestly say, like, all right, let's go ahead and put this down, or the next day.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
How it got that bad, I do not know. I put that stuff on there and then wrapped it up. Next day, there was a single maggot in there. And then today,
hair's growing back.
Yeah. It's like you can't even hardly tell that it even happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot believe how well this stuff is working. It's really almost to the point where you could even call it miraculous. So, yeah. So thanks, EJ. Thanks, Mike Adams, because honestly, I wouldn't have ever thought about it. Your mom actually thought about it. So, I mean, she was the one to bring it up first. And I'm like, good night, man. This stuff absolutely works.
Well, kind of on topic of what I don't remember if it was you or Mom talking about it, but Hey Alabama said they used to cleave that to medications to make it work faster and better. And that was kind of along the lines of I don't remember.
That's what Mike Adams said. Yeah. Mike Adams said the same thing, that if you're using it topically, that if you have some sort of medication that you put on top, this stuff will drive it in even faster. And that's exactly what we've observed. It was, I mean, to the point where you could almost call this miraculous. I've never seen anything like it.
And Amy B just said that she put it on a baby peacock's leg last night. No lie. Which is a little curious because I did a consultation for you and I don't remember peacocks in the plan or in the ask list. So I'm a little curious about those.
Hey, but it works. I mean, folks, I'm here to tell you, I mean, that's the first time I've ever used this stuff. And I've even, your mom has used it herself. And I'm thinking, okay, y'all, here's another one of them things. That's why I didn't say what it was. That's why I had to say it, the way I did. Because it'll be another one of those things that they put the brakes on and say, okay, we're going to give you another strike for bringing up something that you can buy off the shelf at Tractor Supply, which is exactly where we got it. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there, folks. And that stuff works like nothing I've ever seen before. So, yeah, give it a shot. Okay, so on to some other things. So my friend Ariana Masters, if you don't know who she is, y'all, you can check her out on Twitter. She's a lot more prominent. She hates Twitter. She's a lot more prominent on Instagram. And just go to Ariana Masters on Instagram, and she gives like daily updates of what's going on in the skies. And she has all the data, all the stuff out there to let you know where everything's happening. And so for 3 solid days, and we observed it, 3 solid days, there were 0 chemtrails in the sky. In fact, I put out the video long before Ariana did, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? What world do we live in right now where it's strange to not see them anymore?
Yeah.
And so we had 3 days over this last week, not consecutive, but 3 days in which they didn't spray anything. And then sure enough, Ariana comes out with a video, and she said the only other time it happened is when it was one day when good night. I put it on my Twitter account. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was in recent memory when they were trying to figure out the USAID. When they shut that down, that was the only time she had ever seen it where there was not a single chemtrail in the skies. And I think it was a single day. in the United States. So she was like, okay, either the funding dried up or it's the point I made on X was, hold on a minute. RFK Jr. and Dane Wigington, to his credit, told me 2 months before everybody out there and it started with RFK Jr., were saying, well, we think this is in the jet fuel.
Mhm.
We think this is in the jet fuel. So you're telling me for those 3 days, nobody flew any planes?
So also saying that it's in the jet fuel also pushes the green agenda of like, carbon is bad for the environment and stuff like that.
Well, there's that, but also by saying it's in the jet fuel is saying, well, essentially there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Well, you're telling me for these 3 days that it didn't happen. And this is what I pointed out. Somebody send this over to RFK Jr. because if we had 3 solid days where none of this was happening, tell me what just happened. I mean, did planes not fly those days?
Yeah.
Are planes not flying anywhere south of Mexico City because there are no chemtrails? Are planes not flying over the entire continent of Africa because there are no chemtrails? How about New Zealand? The place where all the ultra wealthy build their redoubts. There's no chemtrails there either. And there's a few other pockets in the world, but I think you get the point. So that was the big thing for me, was like, hold on a minute. There's no chemtrails up there, so I guess the planes ain't flying. So RFK Jr., I mean, the guy's the biggest sellout there ever was, and I hope everybody sees it at this point. They throw you a little bit of pablum for the American public, and then they're like, oh, okay, maybe he's okay. No, he is a scumbag. Okay, he is a complete scum. And just like everybody else in this administration and all the others, I'm a political atheist, so anybody out there saying, oh, you're a leftist or you're right, no. It's not red state, it's not blue state, it's a state against you. You know where I stand on that. But this polecat is particularly pernicious. But that ought to be in a rap song. This polecat is particularly pernicious. Yeah, I didn't expect to put all those P's in there.
What rapper is going to be saying that?
Well, what rapper would even come up with it? Because half of them are half brain dead anyway. But
industry plants.
No, but he's the worst kind. It's the people like him, and this is why people were wondering why I came down on Bongino so much. Long before he got in there and showed everybody what he was, how long was I calling this guy out?
Oh, years. Since I think his platform got like notoriety, you were calling him out.
Yeah, I was like, this guy, and I can tell you, it's not because I have a feeling. I can prove that this guy's a scumbag. And those are the ones, it was like what Sean Hannity used to be for the people on the right, is when they were realizing he was playing out or only the senior citizens are watching him, then they're going to change it up, and that's when they bring in a Bongino. But that's what I find particularly dangerous about people like a RFK, where all of a sudden he's saying, oh, everybody ought to have wearables out there.
Yeah.
Wearables? Folks, do you know what that means? Once again, go check out the work of Dr. Jack Cruz, and you're going to realize how nasty a wearable really is. Yeah, they sell it as, first of all, if the government sanctions it, you got to ask yourself, what's in it for them?
Yeah.
How do they benefit? What are they getting out of this? So this
is a wearable.
It's like a Fitbit or watch. And then somebody else brought it up when I posted this on X. Somebody else brought up, well, hey, they're already doing it through your phone. They got the app for it on your phone. So why do you even need all this stuff? Well, there is a reason for it. Check out the work. And I think I didn't post it just yet, but check out the work of Dr. Anna Michalczyk. If you go to, I know it's like not cool for most people out there to shout out other podcasts. I don't care. And I've never cared. If somebody's putting out good work, and I'm always going to tell you where to find them. Jeff Berwick over at the Dollar Vigilante just put out a video, and I sent it to you yesterday.
Yeah.
It's with Dr. Anna Michalczyk. I'm going to post it on X. Every American needs to watch that interview. And then you're going to understand why all of these, anybody ever wonder why all these tech oligarchs were at the inauguration? The same people that supposedly hated Trump.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're at the inauguration. Now you hear RFK Jr. talking about wearables. He's over here. He's in favor of mRNA now. I mean, this is 180 degrees in every single person that's in there. You're getting 180 degrees. And I still hear people saying, USA, USA. I'm like, this ain't the USA I want. I mean, I'm not getting anything I want. And I dare say a lot of you out there are feeling the same way, because this is absolutely, positively just dreadful. Bill Zegley in the house, and a lot of others out there. Thanks for being on board.
What's up, my nitrogen fixer?
Yeah, what's up, my nitrogen fixer? Yeah, and speaking of which, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. Bill, you're going to especially want to check out, a lot of you, man, either this video is going to blow up or it's going to get me kicked off of YouTube. I don't know which. That's going to be the one coming out tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern.
So let's just put it this way, y'all. William and I spent a day with some of the homeless that were panhandling, and I decided to try my hand at it, but I did it my own way. So,
okay. Just, this is something that is, I'm not releasing any spoilers or anything like that. It's not something you would necessarily notice in the video, but Dad's main difference between himself and other panhandlers is that Dad, like, panhandlers usually sit in the median and then they just kind of walk their trot and they don't really make direct eye contact with anybody or anything like that. Dad is walking up to the front of these vehicles. It's like, you gonna break bread? he walked up to one vehicle and he's like, well, you ain't going anywhere. Because he's at a stoplight.
You're at a stoplight. He ain't going nowhere. I'm like, well, he didn't have
the best way to start.
Well, he didn't have any air conditioning either. So I'm like, okay, I got a captive audience here. I'm going to give him an earful. So,
oh man.
But folks, I had people in stitches. I mean, if this was a stand-up comedy club, honestly, there are people. In fact, I've never had so many. You know, I'm out and about sometimes. People want selfies or whatever. I always feel weird about that because, you know, I'm nobody. I mean, why would anybody want a picture with me? I've always felt that way. Yeah. But today was different, man. They were taking selfies for a whole different reasons because they couldn't believe that I was out there holding the signs I was holding on. In fact, I even encouraged some of these homeless people to change. I'm giving them classes on how to be more effective at panhandling. Okay, folks, this is one for the ages. I'm telling you, I'm either going to kick you.
You called them amateurs.
Yeah, at one point, I mean, I saw these guys over there, and they always got signs about.
Yeah, you can never read.
You can never read anything on the sign. And I'm like, no, if I'm going to stand out here on this corner, you're going to see my sign and you're going to see what it says. I had people doing laps.
Yeah.
Laps. I don't know where they were going, but they were doing laps around to see what I was wearing and to see the sign I was holding. So
people were driving by and then like it took them a second and then they kept snapping back like, what did I just see?
They were like, what is he? Say what?
Which is amazing if you can surprise people in Asheville. You see all kinds of stuff in Asheville, but just to be able to surprise somebody driving in Asheville, yeah. But
I tell you the thing that gets me most about this, I mean, is the people that would not. Asheville is almost becoming like Seattle. If you go to Seattle, folks, you'll realize that the people there have zero sense of humor. I mean, they will not laugh at anything. It is like, and you can see pockets of Asheville becoming that way. And Asheville is one of the most liberal cities in the country. So anyway, you could always see, and I'm sitting there, like William said, most homeless people don't make direct eye contact. Well, I did.
Yep.
And I'm engaging these people while, especially the ones that didn't have air conditioning. There was a couple of these guys. I could see the guy, I could read his lips. He was like, hold on a minute. And then he turned the phone around and he's in there taking selfies. Like, say what? Did I just see this happen? So, folks, I'm telling you, you're going to want to see this video tomorrow because, and like I said, I even showed these folks how to be more effective at panhandling. Because honestly, how much sun? If you added up per hour, what did I make?
$288 per hour.
Per hour.
Yeah.
Panhandling, $288 per hour. 15 minutes, y'all. I raked in 80. What was it? 82 bucks, 72 bucks, 72 bucks in 15 minutes. And I wasn't even at the hottest part of the day. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't have competition, folks. I was out there making people laugh, and none of the other bums got money. No. I got all of it. And then the cool thing about it was everything I made from it. There was a grocery store like Save a Lot or Save More or something like that. So I said in the video I was going to go give it away to the first lady I saw with kids, you know, just pushing the cart through I thought for sure I'd see. There was not one person in this entire grocery store except this old timer, and he was quite infirmed. And I just went up to him. usually when you hand, because I've done this a lot where we've gone through
Yeah.
giving out, gift cards. We usually don't just give out money, but we usually give out gift cards and stuff from the farm. I'd have my niece do it. My daughter-in-law did it. William did it. I did it. Michelle. Well, I don't know if your mom ever did it, but we would all give out gift cards and, just do it, not looking for thanks or anything like that. But this time I'm giving away cash. Usually they're like, oh, I can't take that. I went up to this old timer. I handed him, I said, hey, sir, have a nice day. He didn't even think twice. He said, thanks a lot, son. That's all he said. Thanks a lot, son. I mean, he was pushing every bit of 80, but I mean,
Yeah, he was in like a motorized cart.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, he needed it. So, hey, for the people out there who may be listening right now, thank you for your donations. But that video tomorrow, yeah, it's either going to get me kicked off the internet or people are going to be cracking up. But
it's hilarious. Like it's way funnier if you like put yourself in the position of the people in like in the vehicle, because usually in those situations, like people are saying like, man, I hope they don't make eye contact. Hope they don't make eye contact. Meanwhile, you have dad coming up to the front of your vehicle like, you're gonna break bread.
like, you gonna break bread or what, man? Yeah. So I mean, the truth of it is, I mean, well, it was a social experiment. And be honest with you folks, I know a lot of people out there have a bucket list of places you want to go, things you want to do. I kid you not, this has been on my bucket list for 25 years.
Yeah, dad's been talking about making this video since starting this YouTube channel.
Long before that. I wanted to do it anyway, long before we ever had a YouTube channel. I was wanting to do this social experiment because I've always believed that if you were to go out there and make people laugh and engage them, especially when, think about one of the things you do where you just kind of put your brain in autopilot, believe it or not, is driving. And so when somebody sees somebody out there holding up some signs and they say, what? I mean, there's a couple of people swerving.
Yeah.
One guy, I mean, there were people missing the light. The light turns green. There's people hitting the horn because I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, I got this done and I'm hoping because some of the other homeless people out there, they took the signs. I ended up gifting them the signs and I was like, okay, you learned something today? Now go out there and make some money, make some people laugh, man. At least, pulling it's 10 times harder to make somebody laugh than it is to make them cry. So if you can make somebody laugh, folks, just do it, especially with all this crazy stuff that we have going on, whether, I was wrestling for a while there. Do I talk about what's going on in the Middle East? No, you don't need to hear that from me right now. I will tell you though, you all of us need to be in that preparedness mindset. Truly. All of us need to be. But at the same time, I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and get this video done. I'm going to throw a curveball out here. William, because your mom wouldn't film it for no amount of money. No, she was never going to film that. In fact, I was going to do it on Juneteenth. And hey, I got to give a big hat tip to Eric Sider out there because, frankly, he kind of made it all come together with the shirt that he made for me.
Yeah.
So, hat tip as always to my man, Eric. Well, anyway, Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code. Man, I just want to play that video right now.
Yeah.
I wish we could do a sneak peek right now because honestly, of all the videos I've done.
Actually, you could do a sneak peek for everybody in the live stream. I could airdrop it to that computer and then we could present it if you wanted to. No, we're gonna let everybody wait. We'll just go ahead and wait. Anyway, Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. You know, when I'm in the studio, folks, I am G'd up from the feet up, and that means grounded. Yes, grounded on that Redemption Shield mat. So 10% will get you, you get 10% off with promo code PERMA. Wave Watch. Okay, you'll see me wear it. And look, I'm not even going to kid you, folks. Every time I leave this house, I got that Wave Watch on. Why? Because when you put me in crowds, you put me in crazy places like that, I'm probably going to have some anxiety issues, and that has an anxiety setting. So you'll see it in the video. I mean, I wear that thing religiously when I walk out of this house. And it has all kinds of wonderful settings on there, whether you're dealing with pain, whatever the case may be. And now we got you guys one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Emily uses it with the baby, and she uses it on herself, and William has yet to try it. But anyway, Billy 100 will get you $100 off of that Wave Watch. That thing is the cat's meow. And then also coming up, July 18th through the 20th, KSL, Kentucky Sustainable Living. That's going to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Go check them out. Kentucky Sustainable Living. You're going to be there. What are you going to be talking about?
Compost. I'm going to be talking about compost, and then whatever else they need me to like talk about. Usually, like if they have anybody drop out last minute or something like that, then I'll fill in the gap and stuff. So yeah, compost, maybe permaculture design for your homestead. Whatever they want me to teach is what I'll be teaching. Whatever like the gap they need is filled is what I'll be filling. So
Homesteaders United Jamboree. They're going to have their second jamboree coming up. That's going to be in Concord, New Hampshire, but that's North Carolina. It's going to be August 28th through the 30th. Go check them out at the website. There was a promo code, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, go over there, go check it out. I will not be there, but I'm going to help promote it. So, yeah, go check out Homesteaders United Jamboree. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how this one's unfolding. I don't know exactly what's going on, but go to the website, just making everybody aware. So go check them out. Be there, be square. All right. So we're going to go into the good news. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Texas mandates warning labels for foods with additives that are banned abroad. Okay. So for example, you eat let's just pick a cereal. Okay.
yeah.
And let's say this cereal in America has X amount of long list of chemicals on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at that same cereal down in Mexico or in Europe, you will not find a fraction of it, and it tastes better.
Milk.
Yes.
That should be a one ingredient item. But if you look at it at the store, or like cream or heavy cream or half and half, the half and half should be a 2 ingredient item. Heavy cream should be a 1 ingredient item. But if you look at the list, you'll notice that it says like it'll be milk, vitamin D, and like carrageenan, which is known to cause cancer.
There you go.
Why are they adding it to milk? Milk is fine by itself.
Well, that's where Texas is coming into these mandates right now. And they're saying, look, if it's banned abroad, we're at least going to put it on the box. Look, I've never been for bans or anything like that, except in certain areas. But honestly, full disclosure ought to be happening. On all these things. So I'm going to give Texas a hat tip on that. I'm going to call that good news. All right, next one coming up. CDC report insists there are no link between, this one is laughable, thimerosal and vaccines and autism. Okay. I'm just going to leave that one right there. So the reason why I'm calling that good news is that most people who have studied this at all are well aware that that is laughable.
Well, yeah. What's that saying? Don't believe anything from government until they officially deny or confirm or deny it. Well, and then believe the opposite.
Exactly.
There we go. We have our answer. You just believe the opposite.
Yeah. So that's one of those things. And I'm hoping people are starting to do that right now. How many examples, how many betrayals do you need at this point from all the people in this administration, from Bongino, Harold and Kumar over at the FBI? Not a single freaking arrest. Not one. Not one. We were with some folks this weekend. We were hanging out at their house for a minute, and I won't say his name, but anyway, he says, look, dude, you think that at this point they would at least throw you a bone, like, gets at least some low-level minion? They don't even have any of those people. So it's like you've been betrayed up one side and down the other, and everybody's still rah, 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 rah. You've been screwed over. RFK Jr. is 180 degrees now from what he said he was. And when you look at the tech bros and all the other people that are involved in this administration, it's starting to come into view now. So, hey, I'm going to keep it positive, though. All right, for the ladies out there, the hidden toxins in your cosmetics, tetrasodium glutamate, diacetate, and its risks. Okay, there's an article that came out, and basically a lot of the women's, look, I know everybody's strapped, but if you're going to wear makeup, man, spend the good money to go get the natural stuff, because they are putting stuff in there that is absolutely taxing your liver and your kidneys. They know it. Going back to the first article, of course.
Yeah.
They know, you can't even use any of this stuff in Europe, okay? So why is it okay for the ladies in the United States of Amnesia, but not okay for the ladies in Mexico or the ones in Europe? But it's okay for them to put that here? Folks, they're poisoning you, and they don't even care that you know. And like I said, you had 3 days this last week where they weren't polluting the skies. Most Americans are so blue light toxic, I think, at this point, they can't even say, how How do we have 3 solid days where this didn't happen? Not consecutively, but we had 3 solid days. And then you still believe that it's a result.
Yeah.
Just like George Norrie said years ago, if this were a result of just aircraft traffic, then it would be in the same place every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Then why am I seeing videos of them doing like, the same plane? It is inefficient for a plane to fly in any way but a straight line. Okay. I don't know how many of these planes are doing zigzags in the sky. A commercial airliner, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, as you can see, all these stories are somewhat congruent. All right. With that said, before I get myself in too much trouble, we're going to go to my man, Eric Sider.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip, silencing the noise. It seems the psychopathic Muppet Mafia, aka the leaders of the world, are throwing everything they can at us right now. They must have realized it's getting harder and harder to get people to buy into their singular narrative. So it seems a strategy is to just bombard us with all the scenarios at the same time. The intention, like always, keep us distracted, divided, and afraid. And if you spend any time on Elon's vanity app, formerly known as Twitter, you'll be convinced we are in the middle of full-scale civil war and World War III right now. I can tell you the people at Costco the other day didn't get that message because they were going about their business as usual, which is, of course, work, consume, die, which is most people's response to the madness. Check out mentally and numb yourself with your vice of choice. But as Jeff Lawton always says, being afraid is boring. So my strategy is the same: tune out the noise as best I can and continue to demonstrate permaculture solutions. Because we can't change anything until we have food security where we live. You cannot change a system that you depend on. The best case scenario is we make the government irrelevant. The more likely scenario is we soften the crash. And for the people out there wishing for a crash, they're going to be in for a rude awakening because collapse is not a pretty sight. There's going to be lots of death, destruction, and suffering. It's not like watching a couple episodes of The Walking Dead and retiring to your cozy bed. Real collapse means there is no cozy bed and there's probably no restful sleep for the inevitable future. So I think we should do everything we can collectively to avoid that scenario as best we can. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider. If you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com. And for those in the Sacramento area, check out my permaculture community group, permaculturefairoaks.org.
That's my dog right there. Once again, knocking it out of the park. Homestead Twins in his house. Yeah. Okay. So Bill Zegley beat me to that too, son. Was there something you were going to?
Yeah, real
reference?
quick. Silver Sage, you were saying that you were looking for like a clean makeup brand. If you shoot me an email at thepermacultureconsultant@gmail.com, my wife has like a clean makeup. Like she doesn't own one, but she uses like cleaner makeup. If you shoot me a text, then I can get the information from, or an email, I can get the information from her and send it to you, and then you can use it. And then I'll do a post on YouTube on my channel, like a community post of whatever brand of makeup it is, and then there you ladies go.
Yeah, man. Wow. I wonder what kind of chemicals we got mixed up back in the 80s. Back in the day, man, everybody had these Jerry curls back then, man. It was like, man, they had more chemicals in there than Chernobyl, man. Like stuff. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the chemicals, this activator and all this other stuff, it would be dripping all kinds of. Looking back at it, man, there's got to be a lot of embarrassed people with some of the hairdos in the 80s. I mean, I got a mohawk every summer, but hey, it was a mohawk. That was cool. Anyway, EMP Shield, y'all, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, things are crazy in this world and they're getting crazier. Things are sideways and they're going to get more sideways. So, hey, EMP Shield, if anything gets Kentucky Fried downstream in your house, they're going to cover you for 25 G's. So if you haven't gotten one yet, folks, you might want to think about it. They even make them for your vehicles, all of your vehicles, even your solar setups. So seriously think about those things, because I got a feeling, like Eric was saying, we are definitely a society in decline. We don't have to be, not everywhere. We can take these little pockets and, enjoy ourselves.
Hey, real quick, Dad. Okay. I would like for you to answer this and give the reason as to why we're concerned with this. But Justin Skeen says Jeff Lawton made that video about wolves out west. Pretty misinformation. Wish permaculture guys would just stick to planting. Tired of the politics. So why are politics or the state of the world a concern for somebody who does permaculture?
Yeah, I think that's a big problem for a lot of us out there. I mean, a lot of us are, well, Eric kind of answered that question already. I mean, but I'll go ahead and weigh in on it as well. Is all of us, too many of us, to be honest with you, I'll put it this way. It's something I've been saying for the longest time. You're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. So would you rather have a hand in how this thing pans out, or would you rather not? For example, the reason why I think this is incredibly, just like Andy Frisella, he does a show that is primarily about self-improvement and being the best version of yourself, but he's reluctantly, just like I am, reluctantly covering the politics, because if you don't have a framework to work within, we're getting to the place, y'all, where they're now telling us they're getting to the place what you can and can't put in your body, what you can and can't eat, what is okay and not okay to grow, to think. That's where it all starts. So yeah, all politics is local, but permaculture is local too. And they overlay where people say, okay, we'll put the permaculture over here. We'll do the preparedness over here. We'll do the politics over here. No, I think they all go together. And that's why I talk about it reluctantly, because I am a farmer. I'm going to need a planet. I'm going to need a place to grow stuff. So that's why I cover these things, and I hate talking about it. I mean, folks, if you only knew, back when I was doing terrestrial radio back in Kansas City, I was on the biggest talk station there. I hated even then having to talk about it and thinking, of course, the world was going to crash and burn any day back then, until I got more and more prepared. And then the more equipped I became, the less concerned I became. So about those other things, I mean, yeah, I'm still very much concerned about these things, but when you get down to brass tacks on this, like I said, you're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. And these people are trying to control every single part of your life. That's why I'm talking about these tech gurus. That's why I'm talking about the RFKs out there. That's why I'm talking about the Bonginos, because we all live in these silos and we're thinking, okay, I'm just only going to talk about permaculture, but I'm never going to cover it. Well, it's interfering with my ability to do permaculture. Okay.
Yeah,
it really is.
No. Yeah. That's a big one. Is if you're living in let's say you're living in for example, a consultation I did not too long ago in Colorado. If you're living in an HOA that has restrictions for every little thing, not even an HOA, just a community that has restrictions for every little thing, and it has to be a community vote for you to be able to build a barn that's a certain size, that's a certain distance away from the road. Like, that's all politics. Those all affect what you can and can't do on your property, which is permaculture.
And that's as local as it gets, is a HOA. That is, whether you like it or not, that's politics. Whether you belong to a union, that's politics. It's all, I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, that's why I put so much focus on this stuff. And look, other podcasts out there are never going to touch any of this stuff. This is so far outside the realm of anything they're ever going to talk about. I'm not afraid to touch that third rail. I'm not. And because of it, you know what? We got a lot of other people out there, some of which I know in here, some of the people that we were just talking about. The cool thing about this audience is that at some of the gatherings we've done, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of you. And I know that you feel as isolated as I do. And so when we're in the same room together, we're all like, man, how come this podcast isn't talking about this stuff? Or how I would rather spend, when I say permaculture is my passion, folks, I mean that. I don't want to talk about what's happening to these kids, child sex trafficking. I don't want to talk about that. I definitely don't want to talk about, honestly, half of what I've been talking about lately. But I have to. And I think you need to start getting engaged, because they are taking their political capital that they got from you in, let's say, the last election, the election before that, it doesn't matter. They're taking that and they're purchasing death with it. And they're doing it in my name. So I consider it my responsibility. And I think you should too. I consider it my responsibility to say, no, not in my name. You can do it. Joe Blow doesn't stand up and speak up for himself. You can do it in his name, but you're not doing it in mine.
Yeah.
And sorry to belabor that, but that's exactly how I feel about it. All right, y'all. So this is, believe it or not, this topic to a certain extent is kind of political. Don't worry, I'll come to that. And I want to talk about like your future proof, jobs. Eric Sider turned me onto this podcast a while back. It's the Diary of a CEO. And there was a guy on there recently, and I've been wanting to do this podcast or at least talk about this topic for at least a week, maybe a week and a half, actually. And I just kind of put it on the shelf a little bit, and I'm glad William's in the room with me now that we're going to talk about it. But he's talked a lot to AI, either consultants or AI developers or AI people that are involved in that space in a very big way. He's talked to a lot of those people. And I'm like, man, okay, so this is a podcast primarily about, diary of a CEO kind of thing, whatever that would entail. And all these people are saying the same thing. I mean, they all have these dreadful, for the most part, not all of them, but a good many of them are on there saying, man, this AI, it's not looking good. You go back at Elon Musk's earliest comments, oh, it's not looking good. A lot of these other people are saying, oh, it doesn't look good. So I was like, okay, the last guy that I heard on there, he was saying exactly the same thing. And when asked, okay, so what job, he said, if your kids were not wealthy, because he's wealthy now. Yeah. If your kids weren't going to benefit from being wealthy, what would you encourage them to do? Getting out of high school or whatever the case. He said, I would encourage every last one of them to be a plumber. And I was like, And he didn't say anything that I didn't already think about before. So I said, okay, well, let me go to this AI. So let me go ask AI, give me the top 20 jobs that are going to be the best. Give me jobs that cannot be replaced by AI in the next 30 years. Okay. So that's exactly what I did. And so it spit out a list of 20. And then I said, well, that's a little bit too extensive. I don't think I can cover that in the podcast. So give me the top 10. And these were already jobs because I had been mulling this over in my head. Now, folks, if you think this isn't political, going back to the previous statement, I got news for you. AI's role in your life is about to be very political in the most massive ways. So I asked AI, and folks, you can do it yourself. Say, okay, give me the top 10 jobs that will not go away in the next 30 years. And then you can even do it in the next 50 years. Now, I'm not even going to lie to you folks. I think there's a massive culling going on. I think that's exactly what they're doing with what they're dropping from the sky and what they put in our bodies and what they continue to do with us. I think we are the carbon they want to reduce. And they know as AI comes online, they're going to need less of us to do a lot of this stuff. But there are critical jobs out there, and there's something they all have in common. So we'll go down some of them. Well, number one on the list is already in my wheelhouse, electrician. Okay.
Yep.
And his too. So number one, and it's ranking them in the orders of the likelihood in which they will be least replaced. So number one on the list is electrician. And then, like that guy said, that AI director, number two was a plumber. But yes, I am a journeyman electrician, been one a long, long time. And then you'll see a little something that's in common with everything on this list.
Yeah.
You'll find out that in every single thing on this list, there's something in common.
Yep.
Let's see if you can't figure it out. So electrician. So naturally, knowing there's so many different types of electricians, where you're doing residential, commercial, industrial. I've done it all. I preferred industrial, but I'm also pretty adept at commercial. He's more of a residential guy.
All I did was residential.
Okay. So in that case, what AI is going to rewire the attic to get a new circuit in this part of the house that you need? Okay?
What AI is going to troubleshoot a nail put in one of your wires from the drywallers?
Exactly. Exactly. And if you look at a lot of the way, even in the commercial realm and even in the industrial, which I thought was never going to happen, we used to run conduit and we put wires in it. Now, these days, it's all what we call this rat rope, where it's basically metal clad cable, MC cable, and they pull it even in hospitals and stuff like that. And we're like, man, this is crazy. I can't even believe they're getting away with this. So the whole way of doing things in the past where you'd run conduit, nobody cares anymore. So by and large, you still need somebody to physically do that. Okay, plumbers. Same thing. I think you could really, as far as number one and number two, electricians and plumbers, I mean,
Not much difference.
no, or a pipe fitter. I mean, you still need a physical person to do some of this hands-on work. I mean, there's no way that you're going to, I mean, I don't know how you get, I mean, maybe they'll come up with an AI that can fix some of that stuff, but
Yeah, you would be, I mean, the amount of money that would go into developing the AI, building the robot and all that to do the plumbing, you could just hire a human and do 5 houses in the same amount of time.
now number 3 on the list, I totally think AI got this wrong, but I got to keep it honest. This is the
I
result
agree.
that it gave me.
I agree.
Because when I saw this, it was like therapist and a counselor is number 3, and it says no AI can replicate genuine human empathy and trust. I don't know about that.
See, people
These
are
things-
already using those things as therapy and counseling. Even, and I'm saying that not including like the therapist and counseling websites. I'm talking about just AI in general. Some people are using AI as like a companion. Some people are like just someone to talk to. Some people are using just social media itself as therapy or counseling, not necessarily healthy therapy or counseling, but like as an escape from reality. So I would say like that, I don't think is a very secure job.
I was right there. I was like, I don't think so, man, because AI is getting to the point now where it's almost indistinguishable from a lot of humans out there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the AI might have threw me a little, I don't know. That was a little side one. Number 4 is a farmer, which I would have put as number 3 or even number 1 to a certain extent.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah, to an extent.
Main crop, like large scale corn or like big ag,
Yeah.
that's already AI.
Yeah. Yeah. But as far as, regenerative systems in a permaculture way, I mean, yeah, that's definitely one that can't be. But yeah, like you said, on these big systems, yeah, there is definitely, it's already being done by tractors that pretty much run themselves right now.
Now,
So
in regards to that, the person that's not going to be taken out of that role is whoever goes and fixes the tractors.
exactly. But
Yeah.
what do they all have in common?
What do you mean?
All
the
these
mechanics?
jobs,
Oh, yeah.
all these
Yep.
jobs. Keep in mind, there's somewhere skilled tradesperson. They got down welder, carpenter, mason. Okay. Yeah.
Well, AI takes care of the welding and stuff like that on some applications,
Well,
like
for a
big
specific,
scale, like robotics and like large scale manufacturing and whatnot.
oh yeah, yeah. If you work at like any of the car plants that I've been at, I've worked at Ford, GM, Toyota. I've worked at all those plants over the years, and yeah, they have, but it's in a very systematic way.
And then the mason, they're over here 3D printing houses
Yes,
with concrete.
exactly. Here's another one. Nurse is number 6 on the list.
Yeah.
Now, MDs, I've already looked this up. In fact, a number of these AI experts have talked about it. All these doctors, these highfalutin, stick your nose up in the air, nouveau, almondine, thin crust, bottled water, deep fried, city doctors. They want to stick their noses up everybody else. I mean, they want to act holier than thou. A lot of those MDs are going to be without jobs because one MD is going to be able to do the job with the aid of AI of about 50 other doctors.
Yeah.
And in fact, AI is going to get to the point where they do most of the diagnosis, but the nurses are the ones doing the physical work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Betty Watts had a really good one.
What's that?
Farrier.
Yes.
You ain't getting no robot's gonna break the first time.
No. Yeah. Well, see, okay. So there's a common pattern here in all these jobs. Like next one on the list is firefighter.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, first of all, like I said, I think that we're the carbon they want to reduce. So I don't think they're worried about firefighters anyway, but these are jobs that require something out of you.
Yeah.
A chef, farm to table in particular, artisan chefs out there. They haven't yet come up with the replicator and like on Star Trek where you can ask it to cook you whatever it is you want, and then the thing comes popping out. But people who can cook probably going to be, but then again, the way they're reducing the population, Gotta hope you're in that part. And then here, number 10, I thought that was wrong too. Criminal defense attorney. I don't think I'm like
AI is probably a better lawyer than most of these because AI can analyze all the legal documents without missing anything.
exactly right now.
Yeah.
The way it is right now. So there's a couple of these I think are out of whack, but what do all these careers have in common? Is what a lot of you out there that are listening right now, what you have in common with a lot of this stuff on the list. Okay, they require something out of you. These are all jobs that require a certain level of physicality. Okay, electrician, firefighter, chef, criminal defense attorney. I mean, well, maybe not the criminal defense attorney so much, but honestly, the highest jobs on this list are the ones that require knowing how to use your hand. You know, mechanics, you know, people like that. These are all the jobs, the blue collar jobs out there that some people would stick their nose up at.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when that guy said it, he said, yeah, I would tell my kids to be a plumber.
Yeah.
That's why I was.
Homestead Twins just said AI has already been caught making up fake case law.
See, oh,
Dang.
wow. That wouldn't blow I mean, that wouldn't shock me one bit.
Yeah.
They're already making up their own languages. They're doing all this other stuff already. So although we may use the aid of AI, and I try to be very, very cautious about how I do it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there using AI for some of the craziest stuff.
Oh yeah, there's full-blown AI YouTube channel. The most popular one is AI Sasquatch right now. That thing is blowing up. It's literally just AI Sasquatch with an AI script, with an AI scene. Some of them are hilarious, and it's exactly how you would think Bigfoot would be if he's vlogging himself messing with people. He's a little roguish, but yeah, it's already on. There's full-blown AI YouTube channels.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the same thing on Twitter. I mean, I'm telling you, half the people on Twitter are bots. Or I'd say more than half. Half of the subscribers out there, I mean, they are absolute positive little bots. Okay, that's all AI. And we're to the point, y'all, where you've got to start. And once again, to the question that somebody asked before I started this, well, what does politics have anything to do with this? Okay, well, you're about to be voted off the island, if you know what I'm talking about. And if they have their way, AI will be doing all of this.
And they're not going to give you a 2-week notice.
No, they're not going to give you any notice at all.
Yeah.
Folks, once again, I mean, I'm not saying this stuff to be fearful, but yes, I have to cover this stuff because I'm thinking, okay, if anybody's on the fence right now, or your kids are wondering, hey, what job can I do that is going to be worthwhile? Not now, but 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, because I asked the AI, what's going to be good 30 years from now? Okay, go out there, get yourself a skilled trade. That's what I did a long time ago. In fact, I got a few of them. Here's other jobs on the list. A butcher. Yeah, they can mechanically do a lot of that stuff right now in fact, most chickens, in the way it's being done right now, man, it is absolutely gruesome. It's awful, and it's impersonal.
Well, yeah, look at the ingredients of like canned chicken. It says mechanically separated chicken.
Well, they electrocute them. That's why whenever you go to a KFC, folks, I'm just going to give you a little insight here. Whenever you bite into a piece of chicken, let's say it's a leg or whatever, you bite into that leg and you see it like brown at the bone. You know why it's that way? So why don't you tell them why?
It's because they didn't bleed it out. They didn't kill it that way. They electrocuted it. That killed it. And then by the time they took the head off or slit the throat, there was no heart to pump. Like it was all dead. So
yes,
that's why there's so much blood over there by that I guess the equivalent of a femur for a chicken.
Yeah, that's why every time you bite in there and it's black at the bone, that's why. Because they didn't bleed the animal out. It wasn't done right. So yeah, being a butcher, you know, things like that, knowing how to do these things, working with your hands. Folks, I don't care how good AI gets at the end of the day. Man, I love what I love. I mean, we're country boys and that's how we roll. And AI isn't going to be able to go out there and hunt deer. Well, maybe it can actually at this point. I mean, who knows? They got these slaughter bots out there. What were you going to say?
Who was it? Hey, Alabama said, read The Giver or any of Lewis Lowry's books. You'll see what's coming and how it's going to be. I remember in high school, you remember Mr. Bush, my sixth grade teacher? So The Giver was banned in schools whenever I was a kid. Like it was a banned book in schools. But he made it a point to read it to us anyway. I I don't really know what his reasoning was behind it. Yeah, 1984 was on the reading list. Like, we had to read 1984, but The Giver was banned. The Animal Farm, that was on the reading list too, but The Giver was banned, and in 6th grade he read it to us anyway.
Yeah, okay, now going back to the AI. How many kids, the first time, and I've said this several times on this podcast, when Eric Sider, the first time I ever knew about ChatGPT and what was doing, when he showed me what this thing was able to do, the first thing out of my mouth was, no kid will ever read a book again. That was the scary part to me. No kid will ever read a book or do a book report ever again. It will never be, because it will give you, and I don't even know how you can know whether or not, I mean, folks, it's making us dumber and dumber and dumber by the day. But look, when you do jobs, believe it or not, when you work with skilled trades, I mean, a tin bender, I mean, this is other things we're not even talking about. Every skilled trade out there, y'all, is always going to be hot in my view. In fact, they can't even find enough people right now in the trades. I mean, there was a guy begging me to put my tools back on the other day, and for a lot of money. And I'm like, look, dude, I don't care what you're paying, man. I'm doing what I love right now. But the point being, going back to what I was saying before, if you have kids that are on the fence about what they should do, can't figure out what to do, going to college and get a degree in worthlessness, I mean, it depends on the degree, of course. I mean, if they're going into engineering or whatever, yeah, I mean, there's certain things that you need a degree for. But honestly, if I had a nickel for half these kids over here graduating from Mars Hill University, getting degrees in absolute worthlessness, and then parents that don't know that you just spent a pile of money for your kid to party for X amount of years, and they're going to get out and they're probably going to be a barista somewhere, but you got a master's degree. Okay, what are you going to do with that? When you could have a kid that went out there, like somebody mentioned a moment ago, a farrier, anything that you work with your hands. And then honestly, people are becoming lazier and lazier every single day. So that means the cost of, skilled trades and stuff is going up and up and up. So folks, don't forget about those things. I mean, that's why I wanted to point out the one thing that the most critical jobs on this list had in common is that you have to use your hands and your head in a big way in a lot of these jobs. So,
yeah, they won't be replacing entrepreneurs either. There's that. You can start whatever business you can, whatever business you need to. You can learn one of these skills and then build your business that way. I think it's going to offer just new, unique opportunities. I'm sure the same discussion actually was going on when like the printing press came about. Like, oh, this is going to replace all these jobs or like when they got rid of slaves, like who's going to do all these jobs? They figured it out.
Yeah, they did. But at the same time, I think the biggest difference right now is we had it back then too. I mean, we had these Malthusian lunatics that are absolutely determined. There are too many things that are falling in order for them to not be doing it right now. And what I mean by that specifically is these lunatics have every intention of thinning out the herd, if you know what I mean. And they've been doing it. What do you think this jab was all about? What do you think these other things are all about? What do you think what they're dropping from the sky? And, all these things, it's starting to come into view in a very, very big way. And because I do notice patterns, I'm seeing these tech bros that are out there. And they're all of a sudden at the inauguration, all of a sudden Trump drops $500 billion to build data centers. Before I got out of the trade, that's what I was doing, was building data centers. Okay. I was working as a quality control guy for a place that was supplying all these things. It was a gravy job, no doubt about it, but it wasn't what I loved. And I was basically a quality control guy at the end of it, basically inspecting other people's work. And right now, that is the hottest job in this country, is working in these data centers. So why would they need all these data centers when the Facebook data centers alone were enough to compute everything on this planet? I forget how many times over. And they're still building them like they're going out of style. Why would they do that? Well, I got a feeling that it's to phase out a great many of us. So those Georgia Guidestones, they intend to be prophetic. So, that's why we're talking about it.
Justin Skeen says, what about permaculture consulting job? What are you doing, William, to protect your job if 90% of people don't have jobs? Look, I've tested AI to see if they can do my job. Right now they can't, or they can mimic to a certain extent, but it's bad information. It's information that's not in the correct order. It's just bad information. I've tried. AI right now ain't replacing consulting so far, so that's cool.
Well, I think the question is more about, if people can't afford to pay you.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay,
too.
that goes back to that
Bartering.
panhandling video we were talking about a moment ago. Yeah,
I mean, I've always since the beginning been open to bartering. Like, what am I going to do with the money? Probably use it to buy something anyway, so we can skip the middleman, the fiat currency, and just you can give me that thing if you have that thing in exchange for the information.
Yeah. So let me see. FedUp says data centers to help with Palantir. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly all of this is one giant panopticon coming into play. So you got Palantir over here. Nobody, of course, is talking about that for the most part. All these tech bros getting $500 billion. These are the same people that Trump said he hated and hated him, of course. Strange bedfellows, huh? Then you got RFK Jr. taking in the health side of it, and then saying everybody needs to have wearables out there. No, thank you, bro. I'm not going to play along. In fact, the more and more technical, I'm probably becoming something of a Luddite, and I know that I am because the more and more people rely on tech, I'm absolutely doing the opposite. I'm trying to figure out the old ways of doing things because I seriously wonder if we're going to wish we had those skills. Seriously, in so many different ways. I mean, so many different ways. So, folks, anything else to add, son?
I think we covered it. Learn a trade, learn a skill with your hands.
Learn a bunch of trades. I mean, learn as many as you possibly can. Yeah, you want to become proficient at them too, but honestly, at least become conversational at a couple of them, even as a hobby. I mean, even if it's a trade, like when I first got in the butcher's trade, they didn't want anybody but young hipsters. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
So to get in the trade, I had to work for free. And they didn't even want to hire me at first. I mean, I love telling this story because it's true. I wanted to get in the butcher's trade because I'm like, okay, I've got to learn this skill. I go to the local pig in Kansas City. We live not too far from there. It was a drive, but still, I was willing to make it. And I was willing to take off a day a week from the job I was working to come and learn that skill. And I did. And I became really, really good at it to the point where, I was beyond better than the best employee. They weren't paying me a dime. And I was outworking anybody in that place that they were paying, to the point that it became obvious that, I was light years better than the people they were paying. Why? Because I had the desire, I had the want to learn how to do this trade. So, worked with other folks, learned everything I could, and now I just try to pass on the knowledge wherever I can. But it's another skill that they can't take away from me. I passed it on to my son, and now he's teaching other people. I'm teaching other people. So, folks, we're going to need these skills. I got a feeling we're going to need them in a bad kind of way here before too long. So remember my dreadful prediction of 2025. I stand behind it. I'm not trying to give you any bad news, but hey, for those that came in late, check out the video we're going to put out tomorrow. It should make you laugh or offend you. I don't know which. Christy's asking wearable. I think they're talking about like Fitbits and stuff like that.
I think she's later on in the live stream. Some people come in like delayed. Some people, when they come in, they start it from the beginning, and when they're commenting on past things that we've said.
Basically, things that monitor everything about your body. And folks, don't be shocked that when they say Bill Gates has already talked about this, where you could swallow a pill and then it just uploads all your data right into.
As if they're not already doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, watch that interview with Dr. Anna Mihalchik on, what was the name of that podcast I told you? The Dollar Vigilante.
Yeah.
The Dollar Vigilante. Hopefully I can get Michelle to add it to this. This guy, they basically got him shadow banned everywhere. In fact, to even play it on Rumble, they hit it with, it's funny how they would never hit Dan Bongino with ads, but everybody else, man, they will, if it's something that's worthwhile for you to hear it, first of all, it won't be on YouTube a lot of times. And second of all, if it is on Patreon, not Patreon, but Rumble. If it's on Rumble, they will blast it with so many ads that it just screws up the continuity of the video. Anyway, I highly recommend you check that out. And because there's also solutions out there as well. All right, y'all. Hopefully that was a blessing to you. Until next time, stay alert.
Stay alive.
Learn a new thing, channel and nature, let the knowledge ring. With roots that run deep, wisdom from soul, burn across the stream. Let the ideas unfold. I'm grooving with the truth, truth, truth. Feeling nature's truth, truth, truth. Who's got the answers? All we need to do, listen to the earth that got us through. Let's see the change, watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to the harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive. Tune into the beat, feel the vibe and thrive.